Alright, I'm gonna be real. I don't remember which track is playing here. Stop. Okay. I don't remember which track this is. Where is it? Music, properties. I can't see what's currently playing. Great. I mean, I could, but that's it's a few more steps I don't care to do. For the sake of it, tuna. Oh, did I completely disable all that? Hi, Zirkin. How you doing? I may have. Did I just... Oh, okay, whatever. It don't matter. It don't matter. I know it's copyright free. That's all I care about. I'll work on that later. So you can go down there. Okay. Alright, let's... What was that first? Okay, just Twitch. Alright. Let's see if... the model's broken. I mixed some settings around. I did some settings, did a couple application things to VTube Studio and VBridger. Oh, model broken yet? Maybe? Kinda looks like it slowed down a little bit, but it's not broken yet. Could also just be me, my imagination. It's supposed to run at 60 frames, but I have no way of knowing what it's currently running at. Could have also been 7 days, I'm gonna be real. 7 days is a very resource intensive game. It could have just been 7 days that caused everything to fuck up. Also, it's good to hear that you're doing better than usual. That's good to hear. Well, it's not slowing down to... It's not lagging like hell, so... Maybe it'll work. Does I still have the music playing here? Yeah, I do. Okay, good. Actually, since I still have this labeled as a stress test, let me... Music compared to me? Music is slightly loud. Okay, at least to me it is. Let me go ahead and filter that down just a little more. We have it at -20. Negative 25. Any better? That is better, I think. Maybe? Five more. No, wrong way. There we go. -30. We're doing it. We good? Oh, was it lower? Okay, -30 may be good. I mean, this music's not going to be playing throughout the whole stream, so... whatever. Twitch, why did you just tell me welcome to the chat room for the second time? Did I disconnect for like a millisecond? Okay, music's good enough. It doesn't matter because we're going to be, since the model's not breaking yet... Oh, I should... Yeah, I thought the pin messages stayed. Man, I just gotta learn how Twitch works. This is a temporary while my commissioned one is still in the works. Boom, boom, pin that. There we go. Maybe because of all the fuckery yesterday. I don't know. There we go. I don't know why I'm feeling so great. Maybe Anthony beginning the stream 1 hour earlier than I thought. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. for me, so I'm on time. So hey, there we go. Good to hear. It's 5 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. for me. And hi, Sentient Microwave. What's up? It's been a while, hasn't it? I recognize that name. I think I do. Okay, let's get to the actual game. Continue to stress test this model, I guess. Boom. There we go. Alright, now that I have the game on screen. This game's nowhere near as resource intensive as 7 days, so... the model does look like it's... lagging oh so slightly, but... maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm used to glorious 144 FPS. I had to lower it down to 60. As part of something I read, which makes sense. My camera's max FPS is 60, so that was very likely a reason why the model broke yesterday. I'm doing fine. I appeared in a random Masquerade 2 stream when you were playing as Rex. Okay, that was probably it. Well, hi, hope you've been doing well. I thought I recognized that name. It's just been forever since that stream, so... okay. Let's turn that on. Game music should now be heard. This model fits with the game's art style. We get the controller, play this with a controller. There we go. Yeah, excellent. Dope. This is the first time I'm streaming this game, but I'm just continuing my progress I've been playing on my own, so. We'll have to adjust the model. I'll have to adjust the model once get into a battle. Actually, let me go get into a battle real quick so I can get the model somewhere appropriate. Oh. She's doing good. Bunny's still doing good. I'm looking back and forth intentionally just so I can see the model move. Okay, let's see. Okay, main battle screen. My dude's on the left, so model has to go... there's only... as far as I've seen, there's only 2 per side, so maybe we'll just put him like right down here. There we go. How's that? Oddly enough, the person that made this model, is there a description in this stream? God damn it. Oh my. I don't think there was one for edit stream info. What's the one I just accidentally skipped it? Title, go live notification. No, there's no description while I'm live. Interesting. Okay. I guess I will... was gonna put the link to this model in the description, but there is no description, so that's just after the stream, I guess. Which is fine. Anyways, the person that made this model made, like, it shrinks and grows, leaning back and forth, which is honestly kind of annoying, but it's whatever. Okay, so is this good then? This is way less intrusive. I mean, you can't see the TV cat's foot, but it should be fine, right? Oh, you're right. Well, you're right. And hold on. Let's see here. This model fits with game's art style. Oh, I've seen this game. It's on my wish list. This game looks really cool. I'm level 35, so the game is pretty cool. It's not on my wish list for forever, but during a sale, I just decided to snag it. It's really good. Holy shit, this battle music. All the battle music is great. But the game in general is fun. A little darker than I thought it'd be. I think that the AC in my room has been running for like 9 hours straight. It's cold as hell. So if it's cold as hell, then, I mean, do you want to be cool? Okay, credits. No, I just have a folder. Just called credits for crediting stuff. Okay, then can I... Control V. Is there a message limit for messages? Probably, right? Or chat messages? I don't know. Control C. Control V. Oh, but this fits. Here's the temp one. Good suggestion, thank you. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Oh, there we go. Then pin that one. Oh, there we go. Dope. Okay. Okay, now to the game, now to the game. As I beat up this level 1. Sorry, dude, you're just in the way. My model still doing good? Yeah, it is. Well, now I'm gonna have to play 7 days again just so I know if my settings did something. Because if it didn't, then it's 100% just 7 days. Hold on. Okay, yeah. I meant to look at the music. Music volume. Well, that's high. Let me lower the music volume a little bit. There we go. That should be fine. This is a temporary model. Here's the temp one. Well, yeah, here's the temp one, as in here's the link to the temp one. In case anybody else wants to use this, since it is free. That's the reason why I'm using it, because it's free. I don't want to pay for a commission and then pay for a temp one as well. If there weren't any free ones out there, then I would just not use a model while I wait. Oh god damn it, right. Just weird status ailments. Okay. This should be fine though. Unless someone complains that the model's in the way, then I'll just keep it here, I guess, for Cassette Beasts. Okay, actual plot. Well, progression. Oh. Oh, okay, okay. Can't get there yet, need to explore that. That's my current one. I can't swim yet. I can't get up there yet. Okay, cool. Okay, so then we will go... Which one's this is closer? Fast travel. This looks like Stardew Valley, but we... I guess it kinda does, yeah, that's fair. I know, I like this game's like combined art style. With like the environment textures, but the pixelated like characters and monsters. I like it. It's real dope. Okay, new stuff is over here. Whoa, hold up, hold up, hold up. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, you get out the way. Get out the way. Whoa, okay, tech, maybe. I didn't know I could do that. Is this someone I beat already? Oh. Somehow I think you'll be alright. Yeah, it is. Hold on. So I gotta figure out how to get up. Up there. There's a map on the bottom right. Chat's kinda covering it, but it's also not covering it too much. I think I've been in there. I think. You know what? Let's go find out. I probably have, cause that dude over there on the left is down as well. Gotta find a rock. Or one of those barrels, I guess. Have I talked to you yet? Uh-oh. Oh, sorry about that. I totally just lost myself in pom bomb tape. Now, where did I bury that bone? No. Oh, I have been here. I've been on the side. Okay. The closer you get to objects, the more pixelated they look. What the fuck? That's rather unusual. I don't know. It's different, that's for sure. It's different. I like it though. I don't want to fight you. I fought you. I fought you. Oh, here. Oh, jeez, that's my partner. Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Okay, over here. Oh yeah, I've yet to be in here. What are you? Oh, I haven't seen any of those two yet. What the fuck? I kind of like that prototype one though. That one actually gives me Deltarune vibes, not gonna lie. The one on the far right. What were they? Oh, 14. Oh, oh no. Oh god, the tongue wind. Oh, okay. You know what? I'll use you. Then okay. This is how you catch the monsters in this game. You record them on a cassette tape. But while you're recording them, you exit your monster form, meaning you yourself can get hurt. Boom, got it. Is now on a cassette tape, which we use to transform. We use that tape to transform into the monsters. Smack and suit up. Let's suit up. melee defense and range defense. Yo, I want that on my turtle, dude. Am I a noob if I've never seen this game before? No, you're not. I want to say it came out last year, maybe, but I'd say it's still new. I wouldn't call it a year old, so. Also, if you've never really, if you're not interested in monster collectors, like Pokemon, then I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't heard of this. I only know about this because I have a friend, actually. Okay, cool. I love it though. It's great so far. Coco's live. Well, I'm live too, so I don't care right now. I still don't know what those blue buttons do. Okay. You guys are gonna want. Oh, you guys are gonna want to fight. So fight me. We might look the same, but we're not twins. No. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know anything about Pokemon. Yeah, there you go. So no, I do not blame you. God, I love this music. This is probably my favorite music in the whole game. Well, I think I like the lyrical version a little better, but this song is still great. I love it. Okay. Both metal, right? I think so. $25, $35. God, there's types to these monsters like Pokemon, but they don't quite work the same as like in Pokemon. It's not just more damage. I mean, it is, but there's also a lot of like status effects for hitting certain types with certain typed moves. Some unexpected ones too. Like if a fire type hits a water type, the water type that got hit by the fire type move gets a buff that's essentially steam that heals them at the beginning of each turn. It's wild. Which, I mean, it makes sense because that would happen. Fire hitting water would create steam, but like a healing buff? I don't know. It's intriguing. and a little confusing because there's a lot of debuffs. They do kind of make sense though, so I guess I can't complain, but it's still like, oh my god. As someone who's playing this blind, because this is my first time playing through this. Oh, I meant to put blind in my title. Did I do that? I don't think I did I? No, I didn't. Cassette Beasts. Blind run. There we go. Let's update that. There we go. Okay. The same, but from different worlds. As far as we can tell, our lives are identical until we arrived here. Okay. Might look the same, but when... Okay, that's what the other dude said. Played my first game of poker today and absolutely crushed all my friends. Ayo, there you go. Good to hear. New players are lucky. Well, there is the phrase beginner's luck, so... I can believe that. I don't know how true that actually is. The whole beginner's luck thing. What is this? What do I do with it? What do you want me to do with it, game? You gave me a box. I don't know. Do you want me to bring this? Can I open this? Yes. Doesn't work on those blue buttons. I don't think it does. I tried throwing a rock on them at least, and it didn't do anything then, but maybe it needs a box. What's that? Oh, damn. What the fuck? Some of these designs are interesting though, or just funny. Like this thing, Altan. What the fuck? I mean, I find it funny in this case, but... That's what I thought. Plastic decreases the accuracy of electric. Oh, it's probably for that, isn't it? Maybe? Fine, go around the tree. And if I, like, leave and re-enter the area, the box will respawn where I found it, so it doesn't really matter, but... Now I'll just put it on the button. See what it does. Oh my god. Oh, but there's a box over there as well. Whatever. I don't know. Oh. Oh. Okay. I still don't know what these do. God damn it. Okay. Oh, hi. Do you know the way back to Rendlesham Forest? I don't think I've been there yet. I don't think. Oh, I fought those though. UFOs. Metal. Oh, I just saw one of those. Air? Okay, how that thing's air, but okay. Just bite it. If it gets the chance. I think 5-2. I just used charge, so. Oh, you're fucked. Hey, get out of here. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna not be quite active in the chat for now because I'm EB, sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's cool. If you're just chilling, vibing, then that works too, as long as you're having a good time. That's all I've ever cared about in these streams. Oh, I'm not gonna fight. You're gonna fight. Happiness lies in virtuous activity, and perfect happiness lies in the best activity, which is battle. Okay. I don't know if battle is virtuous, but model's still going, which is good, which is good. It may very well have been 7 days. I'll have to stream it again to see. Any fire? Oh, okay, cool. No, electric doesn't do anything. Does plastic do anything against fire? I have no idea. Oh. Any plastic type attack on a fire type. Target releases black smoke that can hide the... Okay, so it raises their evasion. Great. Wait. Oh. Fire on fire, though. I forgot that does that. Oh no, maybe coal's earth. I don't pay attention. I should pay a little more attention. Oh no, coal's earth, so earth on fire. Lowers their attack. Okay. Sure. Your earth. Great. You still have your evasion up. I need you to stop it. Ugh. Don't use it on me. Okay. Damn. Oh, well, that wasn't a melee, though. Yeah. Fight again. And then another thing I like about the silver Pokemon is that there's no, like, power points. You can use these moves as much as you want as long as you have the energy for it, which you restore 2 at the beginning of each turn. So, good shit. There we go. Oh yeah, electric causes Earth to turn to glass. Timer's reduced? Oh. That's good though. Maybe? Not sure. These fucking losing noises are funny though. Ah. Like, sure, dude. Sure. Ouch. The aim of the wise is not so secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. Almost said, but to provide pain. Fine, fight me. I like the music, so fight me, damn it, fight me. Battles are a little slow, which is one complaint I have. Like, the animation's just slow, but they're not that slow, so it's not a big deal. The game's great in other aspects, so I can forgive it. I think I know how I could get back up there, maybe. I'm gonna see if I can glide over there. I don't know if I can, because I don't think I have the height up here, but I'm gonna try. Yo. Okay, I cannot dash while gliding. And I cannot glide while, well, let's see. Yo. Fuck it, I'll try it. Oh, maybe I can, no, but then I'd leave the box behind, so I couldn't get back to it without jumping. Okay, I don't know. Catching certain monsters gives you certain abilities. Like, I caught a certain monster to get the glide. Same with that dash, so... whatever. I may just be missing something. Missing a certain monster in my collection. This robot seems to be malfunctioning. There's a coin slot on its back. Perhaps there's a suitable coin on the island. Oh. Okay. All this pollen is making my nose itch. I feel that, Meredith. I feel that. God damn. Oh, this looks like a dead end, mate. Though I wonder. Do you see that blue box up there? Oh, that's what I put on those blue switches. That makes sense. I've seen them all over the island. They emit a constant magnetic pull. Maybe there's a monster around here that has magnetic abilities we could use. We should take a look around. Okay. I mean, maybe it's one of these. This music was definitely way inspired. Like, you can use that on the background of your YouTube videos or something. Ooh. The area noises for sure. Super chill. I can believe it. Okay, that thing is electric, right? Okay. Now I'll use one of these. I don't know if I need to, but I'm gonna use one of those. And... more. And there we go. I don't know if this is the monster I need, but there's also achievements for collecting a certain number of monsters, so there's no harm in doing this. Oh, that was the one I needed for the ability. Dope. And just like in Pokemon, I do not read their bios. Now hold RB to interact. This consumes stamina. Everything consumes stamina. Cool. And the good news is I do not need the monster in my party to use these abilities. I just had to have caught them. So even if they're in my storage, I can still use them, which is great. It's like, what's that grass? It's like HMs, but better, because I don't need the monster in my party. Which I will never complain about HMs. They can die for all I care. Okay. Okay. Oh. Man. Oh gosh, there's something really wrong with your aura. Are you sick? No, you should be. I should be sick. Fuck you, lady. What the hell? I'm just trying to use magnets and she's like, fuck you, be sick. Rude. Kind of funny, but rude. Oh, what do you poison? I don't know what beats or doesn't beat that, so I'll just do my thing. Little taunt. Oh, okay. Zoomies. Give me health. It's not a lot of healing, but healing's healing. Oh yeah, like if like just now, if a poison hits an earth type, the four-legged thing, the earth type will get a buff that does contact damage when the opponent uses a melee attack on them. Anthony, if you need a background music for your YouTube video, which one would you use? I don't know. There's so many out there. No, probably not the one I was using in my outro videos. Oh no, I mean probably one of the ones I have in my playlist for my starting and ending scenes in OBS. I have 16 tracks in there. It's like a little playlist, so probably one of those. Which doesn't help because I know you don't really know those. What's an existing? Is there one from like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like chill soundtracks. I don't know, I have a bunch of like, I have a lo-fi playlist on YouTube just to listen to. That's probably definitely copyrighted, but I probably use a lo-fi track. I like lo-fi, so. I like to listen to the Lo-Fi Girl YouTube channel, and if I hear a particular track that I like, then I go and search for the individual track and add it to my lo-fi playlist. Off the top of my head, that's my answer. I'm trying to think if there's like a chill soundtrack in like a game or something that I like. I don't know. I don't usually. Well. Maybe. No, they'll kind of amp up though. I was thinking maybe a Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack, but they'll kind of amp up at some point. That's not really chill. If it didn't have to be chill, then maybe a Risk of Rain 2 track, but it had to be chill. What have I been playing lately? This 7 days. Well, I was playing Payday 2 for a bit, but Payday 2 soundtracks are not chill. They're great, but they're not chill. Sorry, I'm watching my avatar. The temporary model. Well, okay, if like copyright or whatever didn't matter, I really like the main title theme of The Forest, like the survival game The Forest. I love the title theme. The title theme of that game is so good. I would use that. There's also a song used in Raft that I also really love. Both are fairly chill, so maybe one of those two. I don't remember what the Raft one is called, but The Forest title theme, like main title theme, that would definitely be a contender. I thought that was a bush. I forgot that it's a monster. I don't have to fight them, but I do it in like every RPG there is. I fight everything, because free experience, why not? Maybe not always free, but experience and potential drops. Wiener. I'm the wiener. I feel like other models just stay planted on the ground as well. Like, sorry man, I beat the fuck out of you, but you did attack me, so I am not gonna care too much. Right, I was trying to use this. So, oh, okay, so it won't get that one, it'll get these. Pick them up, okay. So, this. Leave me alone, I'm trying to do stuff. Oh my god, oh, god. Ah, I already got the ability from you. Fuck off. Oh, whatever. It's only really annoying if they do that when I'm trying to do something other than just look around and they're like, yo, I want to fight you now. Now that you're busy. But whatever. Experience drops. Okay, so I put them on these. Oh. Okay, it's safe to stand in here. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, this is not what I expected to happen with this. I thought these were like buttons or something. Okay. Can I at least use this to like just get up here? Oh, come on, let me squeeze in there. Oh, damn. Okay. Wait, can I? Hold on. Yeah. Oh. I have no idea if that's because of the box or not. Couldn't tell you. If you could have a dinner with any person that has ever lived on this planet, who would you choose? My dad. 100%. Surprisingly, that's the first time I've had that question asked, but 100% it would be my dad. A lame answer, probably, I know, but... yeah, that's my answer. Okay, wait, so can I... Okay, there's clearly a different way to get up here. I'm supposed to be able to grab this thing while it's floating from up here. But if I can just do this... Can I... Where did it go? Where'd that thing go? Oh my god, where did it go? What? Where'd it go? Oh my god, where did that thing go? I mean, if I leave there and come back, it'll respawn, but what the fuck? Where did that thing go? Hold up. Alright, time to try a new. Time to, what? Oh my god, where did that thing go? Holy shit. Copy to clipboard? Great, how does that work? I just say clip that in Twitch, but I don't know how this works. How long are these clips? Oh, the clip just missed it. Damn it. It just missed it. How do I... Can I shoot? Oh, man. Okay. Well, I mean, it's in the stream, but like... Damn it, how do I clip that box just going fucking flying? Oh, I gotta see if there's like... I gotta see if there's a length. I can change the length of clips, because holy shit, that thing just flew. Also, all times I was out of the game while you attacked me. This is not fair. Well, I guess I'll fast travel back to the main town and just come back so that thing respawns. Oops. Maybe that's the game's way of saying don't do what I was trying to do there. Very well. I'll fast travel back here just so I can get free healing. You rested this cafe to get free healing. You can rest at a campfire, but it costs resources. Not that they're hard to come by, but... Free healing's free healing. It's like a Poké Center, basically. Okay. Cool. Dude, oh, you had something.
Yeah.
Oh, was it because it was... Hold on, let me try again. Maybe only say it if it's dark. Because resting changes the time from either day to night or night to day. So if I just rest again... He's got nighttime gossip. Yeah, what's up, dude? I got ambushed by slimes in the marshes and some caped superheroine jumped in to save me. I'm not making it up, honest. Well, I don't want to track that one. I still want the one I was following, but Oh, hey, you. What you got? These are essentially like side quests. I was speaking to Maris Piper earlier. You know, the lady who runs the farm over the creek? I don't know. She reckons some land keepers have set up shop somewhere near her farm. It's worrying, right? The farm supplies most of Harbor Town's food. The land keepers gain control of it. Oh, is it a settlement? One of those? Yeah, landkeeper. It probably is. Yeah, okay. Good. Then fast travel. No, actually, we'll fast travel here. Oh, we can actually come in here now? Wait. I went to the right one, right? Okay, it's not the one I was thinking of, but it is the right location. Yeah, go this way. Oh. Oh, okay. I'll come back for that eventually, maybe. I want to try what I was trying to do before. Just maybe the game chugging a little now. What happened? I fast traveled to and from the game's like, oh no, stop it. Oh, well, that box is still there, so I'm hoping the other one respawned. Oh. Oh no, that blue box did not respawn. Great, that means I gotta go find it somewhere. Where did it go? Damn it, okay, well. I guess I'll worry about trying that little trick later. Because yes, I will try again. When I can. Okay. Oh, okay, I guess I'll go grab that wooden box I was trying to use. Yeah, I'll use that to climb up instead, since that playing with the blue box thing failed. Oh, good. One of you. Oh my god, you guys. Okay, well. Okay, so can I grab this now? Oh. Wait. Oh. Can I grab it while up here? No? Okay. Cool, I guess. Oh, so I needed that blue box to do all this, but it flew to who knows where. How am I supposed to? I was gonna find that thing randomly, like in the water or something. Yeah, okay. It is not enough to have a good tape. The main thing is to use it well. Well, yeah. It's not about what you have, it's about how you use it. Ugh, and I think these blimps are annoying as fuck, so. Is electric one of the main things? I don't remember. No, it's not. Good. I know fire is though. Fire, water, air, and earth. These things are stupidly tanky too for no reason. Hey. Just keep calling you, I guess. Keep that burn up. Oh, damn it. Okay. Plastic does anything to you? Ooh. The internal harmony of astral types can be thrown into disarray by exposure to the impure elements. Plastic, poison, and metal. Okay. Plastic, poison, metal. I'm not gonna remember that. I mean, I may, but... If you could safely travel to any video game universe, spend how much time you want, and do whatever you want there and travel back, which one would you choose and what would you do there? Oh god, there's so many out there though. There's so many out there. That would take a good amount of thought. Oh, hello. Oh, your Astral as well. I'm trying to think of my favorite games here. Choosing like my top favorite games: Final Fantasy Tactics, The World Ends With You. Okay, dude, you're doing that. What else is up there? Halo's pretty cool. Risk of Rain's pretty cool. Portal's cool. What else? What else do I like? I mean, if my safety was guaranteed, then a monster catcher like Pokemon or Cassette Beasts even. That would definitely be one. 7 days is just Earth but zombies, so ultimately that'd be, even if my safety was guaranteed, that's still kind of boring. Just Earth. Oh, hi there. I picked it up because it was a rock to pick up. Get away from me! I have to get out of here. Interesting. Okay. What other games do I like? What have I played for the channel? Or at least streamed for the channel. Raft. I haven't streamed The Forest, but since I brought it up earlier, The Forest. What else is there? What else is there? What's up, dude? Hey. Yeah, okay. Alt. State your name and affiliation, soldier. Oh. Other games exist. It's funny when questions talking about specific games come up. I'm like, huh, what is a game? What exists out there? I don't know, Terraria's pretty cool. Again, assuming my safety's guaranteed, like you said, Terraria's pretty cool. You can get magic and guns. What's not to like? Fire. No, don't do that, don't do that. I mean, there's like anime games, right? Like there's Sword Art, Fairy Tail, Dragon Ball. Although, let me look at the question again. Yeah, you just go there, so I'm just me, just in that universe, so I don't get like any special things related to the universe, just me, right? Okay, so I mean those anime, I guess the Sword Art one would be cool because that's like inside VR game, so I get the benefits of being inside the VR game. But like, yeah, Dragon Ball, I'd still just be a dude. At least with like the monster catchers, I could actually partake in the catching. You know, recording via cassette tapes, or like, you know, using whatever spherical device to catch a monster. Or, you know, the various methods in Shin Megami Tensei. Oh god, that'd be a dark world to visit though, any of them. Maybe wind? Wind. Wind likes, well, doesn't like electricity. Oh, I believe you, I believe you. Don't worry, I believe you. They're thought-provoking, that's for sure. Yeah, so if I was in like the Halo universe, then I'd just be a dude. I wouldn't be like a Spartan or anything, and just be me. Just full of Covenant and Flood and I don't know, whatever all is in Infinite. The Brutes, I guess. I mean, the Covenant, but Brutes. I have no idea if there's any elites in Infinite. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure the Arbiter shows up, but that's kind of it, I think. I could make the most out of 7 days, because everybody's just a dude. You just get stupidly strong fighting zombies, apparently. Phasmophobia, because catching ghosts sounds really exciting. That's fair, that's fair. What else is out there? I'm trying to think of what I played for the channel. Resident Evil, but that's still just zombies. I guess there's some not supernatural. There is some like fantasy elements because like Wesker gets powers and shit. So. Oh wait, where's my crystal over there? I'm busy exploring. Oh, but that chest. Oh, but you're pissed. I don't know why. Let me go back for that quest. Let's see. I don't know, I could partake and see a thief, because they're all just human, just pirates. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of sea of thieves, though. No, actually, that would not work, because I get ocean sickness, boat sickness, whatever you call it. I'd say motion sickness, but it's not all forms of motion sickness. Undertale Deltarune, yeah, those would work. Because I mean, Frisk and Chris are just dudes. But somehow Frisk is able to handle all the monsters down there if he really wanted to. If they really wanted to. And having only played chapter 1 of Deltarune, as far as I know, everything is in their heads, so. Oh, there's the coin. Throw this rock back up here. The rock vanished, never mind. A strange gold coin issued in the year 0x7b3 by the state of Nevada. That'll be fun. I can become best buddies with Sans. That is true, that is true. Just don't kill Papyrus and he'll love you. I gotta find that robot thing again. Wait, I don't recognize this. Where am I? Is this lava? It looks like lava. It's not hurting me when I fall in, but it does reset me, so it's definitely not safe. Where did this come from? Has this always been here? No, it hasn't always been here. Why is there lava when it's dark? What the hell? Oh. Was that why the game started chugging? It doesn't chug when I don't stream, but... Bubble Twitch is exciting. Uh-oh. Yeah, no, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on here? This is weird. Okay. Oh, I can't. Okay. Is there a... No, there's not. There's that one, I guess. Alright, I'll just fly down. Okay, that's the one I was thinking of earlier. Don't do it, don't do it. I know you're pissed, but don't do it. No. That was something at the tree. That left enemy monster is a bunny, by the way, apparently. You could, I guess you could have guessed it from the ears, but like, there was a quest to catch one of those things, and it was like a bunny with wings, and I was like, okay, a bunny with wings, got it. And I caught that thing just because it looked cool. I thought it looked cool. So, I caught it, and I completed the quest. I was like, what? That thing's a bunny? Okay, sure. Got it right, yeah, right there. I'm not gonna send him out, but... okay. I'm tired of being tired. I feel that. I'm always tired of being tired. Doesn't change shit though. Not for me. I'm always tired. Let's go. Okay, so Plus, there's apparently lava that appears at night for whatever reason. I will just see if I can... Oh, I didn't know I could hop on the trees. Cool. There goes. Okay, I'm back here. Cool. Let's go find that robot. Wait, so could I have just... Oh. I didn't even think about that. Okay, cool. A shot. That looks like a mask, but maybe it's not supposed to be. I don't know. Wait, did plastic do something to grass? No, okay. Apparently there's a type chart somewhere in the game. I don't know if I've just missed it or what, but I really should look one up just so I know all the type advantages and disadvantages. Not necessarily all the debuffs, but if I just know what beats what, then that's good enough. The buffs and debuffs will come in time with that. Oh, is this a different area? Oh, you're a vampire. Good. I think we are the perfect home for you, first-time buyer. There's a family living in it at the moment, but we can kick them out for you. Why are you making that face? What the fuck? Oh, that's great. That's great. Earth. Cool. Does plastic do something to Earth? We'll find out. I forget. Oh. Oh. Outside of a crit. Rolled on him now. And I won't either, but it's okay. I'll just do it again. Okay, no it didn't. Cool. Man, why? And according to the stream health, I'm getting 60 FPS, so I guess I'll take it, but what the fuck? Oh, well, I need one of those blue things that I accidentally chucked to oblivion. God damn it. Okay, well. Yeah, doing that puzzle not gonna matter right now anyway, so. Where'd that robot go? Oh, I wasn't there. Okay. Oh, here we go. Yo, I'm gonna say before. Insert the coin. Okay, I was about to say to that. Oh, you're that metal woman people were talking about, I think. Welcome, patron, to the Neo Vegas Pharaoh's Emporium.
I am Cleo.
I am Cleo. And I shall be a table service mechanoid for this evening. Okay, so she's a casino bot, I guess. So the thing about the world of this game apparently is that people from all different time zone or timelines, worlds even, are stuck in this world. So we have some people from like our current time. There's people in like the early 90s, people in like the early 1950s, like. So it's really hard to tell which era she's supposed to be from. I'd like to order some.
My bad.
Oh, wait, hold up. I'm opening Twitch again real quick. Yep. That was quick enough. Pause. Oh, it's only 25 seconds? What the hell? Oh, go back, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm doing a binary thing here. I'm curious what that said. Okay. 01001111 01010101 01000011 01001000. Okay. Sure, this one. Oh, it didn't. Oh, god damn it. Okay, hold on. Control C, Control V. Okay. What's this say? Translate. Oh, it translates to ouch. Right, so make sure. Right, yeah, so 01001111. Like this translated to like, oh god. Translated to this just means ouch, right? 01001111 01010101 01 4 zeros 2 1s 0100 then 10. Yeah, it just translates to ouch. So she was in a casino and then pain occurred, I guess. Cool. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Google. Anyways, my bad. My reboot functions are pretty rusty and my memory banks take a while to come online. I have the most advanced machine brain that a 24th century casino can afford, yet I'm still coin operated. 24th century, so the year 2500. No. Yes. Why did my count? Right, because we're in the 20th century, but it's... No. No, but it is 20. Okay. Right. Yeah, so 2400. Oh, I'm done. I'm tired from work, damn it. Leave me alone. Why do my cowardly creators engineer such a fatal flaw in my hardware? Were they afraid that I'd rise up and overthrow them like they deserved? Oh, Skynet. Sorry, I didn't mean to get hostile. Hostile? Lanth? No, that's an I. Ianth? Ianth. Whoever that is, has been encouraging me to work through my past resentment for mankind in a healthier manner. Anyway, I'm Cleo. Wanted the ranger. Oh, you're a captain! But you didn't expect a 10K like me to be able to use cassette tapes, huh? Turns out all the gambling data in my memory banks makes me quite the strategist. Okay. Got stacked against you, but you never know. Maybe today's your lucky day. I'll fight you. Let me just... No dice? Maybe next time. I'll bring all the dice. Just, Oh, my team's fairly healthy. All right, let's go. Getting up from bed and hopping on the stream on my PC. Let's go. PC Twitch is a little more exciting than the mobile version. I have a message for you. Oh, what's that? Okay, hold on. Control C. Oh, Control V. By that I mean... Oh, it's a different website, whatever. Control V. No, binary to text. Stop it. Control V. Translate. Aw, thank you. You're always a joy to have around. Just hopefully you're getting your proper sleep. I mean, you're saying you're getting up from bed. It's like, well, it's probably 6 a.m. at this point. Yeah, it could have been an hour, so 6 a.m. So hopefully you got good sleep then. Alright, see if I can beat her. Alright, let's play. Ace is high, winner takes all. There's a quest to beat 12 of these captains. Captain Cleo. Did not expect it to be a captain though. Holy shit. That was a lot. Grab metal poison. Burn you. Metal. This song's not a bad battle song either. It's only played for the captain so far. I wonder when I'll hear the lyrical version, because all these battle themes have a lyrical version as well, but I've yet to hear. I've heard one of them when fighting an angel, an archangel. I don't remember which one it was. Oh, wait, Gambit. What was that? Electric on poison? Characters of the Gambit have massively increased stats, but are defeated when the timer on the Gambit status runs out. Oh, good. Have I never used Meredith's half one here on a poison type? I guess not. That is when you win in FNAF, yeah. That's exactly it, yeah. You get the little ding dong, and the cheers. Because you made it. Just to come back another night. Massively increased stats? Let's see how massive. Ah! Stop. Okay. Why are you both multi-smacking? Fuck off. That's actually a stream I have planned for the future. Once my model is actually... Oh yeah, that's fine. Once my actual commission model is done, I plan on just doing like a FNAF marathon stream. See how many of them I can get through. Starting with 2, because I already have one on the YouTube channel. I'm raising the stakes. Oh, I think I have one of those on me. I don't think it looks quite like that though, but... Pretty sure these things gain experience even if they're defeated, so... I don't have the most incentive to switch. Yeah, right there. I could be wrong, but... Well, I may not find out. Oh. Ah, that took like half our health. Holy shit. Ow. Oh, you did the game bit on your own. Okay. Unacceptable. Oh, wait. Why did Twitch disconnect me from chat? And I had to wait 14 seconds to start typing this message. Unacceptable? I don't know. That's weird. I didn't disconnect, did I? Like, I just didn't straight up disconnect, which is why you disconnected. I only thought I disconnected like 2 or 3 times from yesterday's stream, but turns out I disconnected like 5 times, because when the stream ended, I had 6 different videos for this stream, so, I don't know. Wi-Fi's kind of finicky at the moment, but... I don't think so, though, because, right, it is 9:02, and this is one singular stream, right? Right, Twitch? Oh, well, I can't see how far in I've been, but I'm pretty sure there's only been one stream. I'm pretty sure. One single one. Hasn't cut itself up. Okay, well, I'll turn in this one then. Oh no, it looks the exact same. I'm just tripping. Okay, that's fine. I don't know why I'm focused on that one so much. Oh, we have a lot of energy. Let's do that. Yeah, give me that contact damage. Yeah, I can see that you stream 6 times a day. With those kind of numbers, oh my god. Ah! Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow, that hurt. I know it said the stats are massively improved, but holy shit. I looked away to read that message and I got obliterated. Holy fuck. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can do this. Actually, hold on. Do I have something for this? I don't know if I do. That heals, that repairs a tape. I don't think I have anything to actually get, like, an ally up. Just repair the tapes. No, there was a thing distracting about that. It's a turn-based game, right? Once I had no control over that. That was gonna happen regardless of the message, you're fine. I was just saying that, my dude had like half the monster health and all of their health, and I look away for 2 seconds and now he's kneeled down on the ground, obliterated. It's funny. You're fine, you're fine. Ah, shit, okay. Range damage. Let's do that. I don't know if it'll help, but... Okay. There's a reason why I save before doing this. We'll just use this again, I guess. Random debuff, go. If I don't get obliterated. Ah! Jesus Christ. Oh, I got him. Okay, good. Jeez, holy shit. Energy wave. It's a whole team. Cool.
Huh?
Hey, achievement. Defeat Captain Cleo. You call my bluff. I'm impressed and definitely not resentful. I am reluctantly adding you to my internal database of humans I truly respect. It is a very small database. Here, your winnings. Dope. We win. Oh my god. That was definitely the toughest captain yet. Oh good, I'm definitely not gonna use that. You cache that material in at Harbor Town's Town Hall. You humans love to trade your meaningless little trinkets, don't you? Sorry, I did not intend to direct my ire towards mankind again. Please ignore my remark. Oh man. BRB 10 minutes. Sorry, you're good, you're good. Do what you gotta. Oof, okay, well I am definitely going back to save. Ow. Well, there's a campfire up there if I can get up there again. I don't quite know how I did it, but... So can I use the thing while holding this? Yes, I can. Go. Leave me alone. Why are you so pissed at me? I didn't do anything to you. Oh. I didn't think that'd work. Get away from a UFO. I don't care. Nope. Cool. Cool. Oh, that blue button probably opens that chest or unlocks it. Which I don't have right now because I got fucking chucked to oblivion. No, no. Oh, I thought I fought you. Okay. Want to know where cassette tapes come from? You have to beat me first. I probably can. Oh. Oh. Cool. Oh. Hmm. Okay, okay. Okay. Transform and... Ooh, there we go. Night types. Yeah, I figured that would be the case. Seeing how other debuffs work here, I figured that would burn. I imagine would do something. Air on grass. I think it's just like normal. Let's do this again. Ah, the AP. Okay. Knock leaf. Oh, okay. Well, that healing did nothing for you, so good. Oh, I like how that form looks. I've seen a few of those. Looks cool. You are now flying. Oh, I have an electric. Okay. Do I have... I think if anything, fire does something for them. I think. I don't remember. Just do this since I can. Yo. There we go. Oh, good. Poison too. Poison and burn. Hell yeah. Do zoomies. That's a noise. Okay. Mall up ahead is where the tapes and cassette players come from. It just popped into existence a few years back. Rangers have been raiding it for supplies since then, so you won't find many left in there. I've heard it's haunted though. What do you think? Well, that's where this girl that's following me is looking for, so... Oh, is it just that right there? Okay. 21's not the one I have. Just over 2,000. Nothing at all. Ugh, I think something just crawled on my foot. Did I ever mention my tolerance for bugs is pretty low? Oh boy. I'm just going to pretend it was a stray blade of grass and really not think about it. It's for the best. Yo, there we go. Perfect. What do I have in here right now? Is there anything I want to get rid of, actually? I kind of want to get rid of this thing. Like, it's cool, but I don't know. What would I replace it with, though? What type is it? Flying? Or wind, whatever it is. Do that. I'm trying to keep my team varied, type-wise. But trying. Put in Pokemon as well if I play Pokemon. I'm trying to have like one different type per team. I don't play Pokemon competitive. When I did play Pokemon, I only did the story and like in-game stuff. I had to try and play competitive, but I still tried to keep a very team. Tried to. Whatever, it's fine. Okay. So I'm guessing this is the mall that's her quest. Yes. Let's go find your... What are we in here for? Her seed... Her... Oh. Cassette. Not cassette. What else is it called? The old discs. The old CDs that you put on record players. Oh, the record. She's looking for a record. That's supposedly in here, so... We made it to the mall. So an Archangel in here would not surprise me. If I'm being honest, I bet this place looked way tackier before all the structural decay. I admire the post-apocalyptic chick. The shop up there looks like the kind of place you'd find music, right? I don't know about records, but I guess cassette tapes are newer than records, so... Oh, there's a train station here. Oh, good. So there is an angel in here. Oh. Oh. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Yo, what are you? Ah, okay. Yeah, that debuff. Oh, interesting. Even a... I'll try fighting them, but I'm pretty sure I cannot hit them with that debuff. I bet if I clear the place, they'll become corporeal again. I bet. Let me just confirm my suspicion. Yeah, I can hit them when they're ghostly. So that's called, I guess. Okay, well, I'll try to avoid those then. Oh. Alright. Yes. It's the first time I fled a battle. Okay. Another underground train station, huh? I wonder who built these. Yo, dude. Oh, there's no Archangel in here. Okay. Welcome. I've taken the liberty of opening platform A for you to travel. Okay, cool. I'm not gonna travel. I just got here, but just to say hi. Oh, okay. Maybe once I clear the area, I can fast travel. Also, can I get, like, that one? Hi. Are you not a ghost? No, you're not. Okay. Okay. What are you, plastic? You're supposed to be a toy? I really want to... I don't really want to catch that. But I know it's here. Oh, that's what electric does on plastic. Good, good. Same as with on poison. I'll die. Or run away, I guess. I never really thought about the plastic looking like Legos. Whoa. Moth and Manic? That thing looks cool. I kinda want that. Oh, its tail's a light bulb? I like that. I like some of these monster designs. Oh, but maybe its TV cat is electric. I still want it though. Still looks dope. What if I end up not using Meredith anymore? What if I find someone else I like? Does Earth do something with the plastic? I don't remember. Oh, but Meredith has the toy hammer, so okay. There's a chrome tape. I get a feeling. I have a feeling. Yeah, I kind of figured. You get out of here. Right, just don't slap the bunny. You missed, so it's all good. Got it. Don't know if I'll use it because I have Meredith, but got it. Oh, we have a lot. It's on target. Small petty air type damage? What the hell? Okay, interesting. Oh, I'm not using it, but... Oh, can I not? Can't move him? Okay, I guess not. Not in here. Okay. Cool. Oh, jeez. That's disorienting. It's disorientating, though. I mean, it's cool, but... Okay. I have this, though. Will this let me pass? Ow. Oh, don't do it. I guess I'll come back over here later. I thought maybe beating both enemies on either side would stop it from being electric, but two things. One of them moved away, nothing happened. And two, I wouldn't even be able to get to the other side, so. Electro Shack. Can I actually go in there? Ooh. Oh. No camera move in here? Okay. Alright, welcome back. I don't know if I need this, but just in case. This would be a great place to film a movie. Maybe the monsters could be extras. I mean, you don't typically pay extras, right? I was about to say, hey, you wouldn't have to pay them because they're monsters, but you don't pay extras. Usually you don't. There we go. That's what I meant to do. Okay. Okay. Free wood, why not? You need it to make campfires, so healing out in the wild. Okay, cool. It's the last fighter to take their turn before this move. It's just general last fighter, so if that were me or my ally, they would get hit. Great. This. Ooh, whoa. Came from yellow. That's open. That's locked. Alright, we're going in green, I guess. I don't know if green is. Oh, hi, I see you. Oh, you're a boss. Oh, the other side of this thing, okay. Oh. Or maybe... Oh, just a... scripted encounter. Hi, kid. Should I? Oh, God. I don't know, this will be the only opportunity to catch one of these, but... I don't know. I have a feeling. I have a feeling I should try. I can do that too. Yo, let's go. Cool. Bet that wasn't the only opportunity to fight him, but I don't know. No harm in it. Oh. Oh. Wait, what do you... Oh, okay, okay. I see, I see. It was not in there. It was... Oh, it moved on both sides. Good jumping. Okay, moved on both sides, so... It wasn't 10, was 15. Sorry, it's cool, it's cool. No worries. Just exploring them all. Okay, what are you? What are you? What are you? Oh, here we go. I zoomed right past this, okay. Yo. This place must have looked so different filled with people. Probably. What the hell was here though? There's this bottomless pit here. What the hell was there before it got transported here? That's just the game. Okay, I was about to say, is that screen shake? But no, I have that setting turned off, so. Stop it. Don't do it. Oh. Empty. Okay. Sure. Can't fill everything with stuff, I guess. So we had to raise those before even coming up here, so... What do I need to do to open that? Oh, wait. Okay. I see. The books that fell. Ah. Got it. What you got? I have no idea what to do with those books yet. I think this is my second or third book, and I still don't know quite what I'm doing with them. But I collect regardless, because it's a collectible. Really hope that was water I just stepped in. Oh boy. Oh. There's someone at Harbor Town, like the home base, that said something about being like a clother like this or something. I wonder if they'll have a quest for me to come back here. I wonder. Ah, I'll do it. Okay. Damn. I already have one of those winged looms, so don't worry about that. Yeah. Why bother debuffing them? They're just going down. Like if they're gonna flee. Okay. I gotta figure out how to... Oh. Oh. Well, there's the answer to that question. Yeah, okay. So then, nope, it wasn't around here. Nope, it wasn't around here. Yeah, right here. The trunk. Oh, I gotta... Man, you tank that electricity like a champ, goddamn. Why can't I do that? Okay, so then I'm on... Yeah, okay. Wait, wasn't it on the side? I think. Yeah, right in here. I think. Just kidding. There we go. Oh, let me up. Okay, made it. Yeah, here we go. Ooh, I didn't mean it. Vinyl beat. I guess this is the place. Should we go inside? Give me a second. I gotta run away, I guess, first. For that, I mean, just want to explore a little more. I thought I was gonna have a fight, but I guess not. Oh, there's one of those in there, so cool, I guess. Alright, well. I'm ready to go in there, I just wanted to save first. Actually, hold on, what's our health looking like? Health looking like? We'll see. I saved, so it'll be fine. Let's go. It must be around here somewhere. I'm so close. Proc Gen, Dreamer of Electric Sheep. Sounds cool. Not the right record, though. Mac and the Awesome 5. Mac to the Future. This isn't it. Okay, Back to the Future. Sure. This record has The Witch House written on it in big red letters. That album art. You found it.
Huh?
Wait. Something's not right. Timeless and Strange. That's not the name of the album. And this cover art is slightly different too. The track listing. I don't know these songs. It's some alternate universe version. The one I wanted isn't here. I knew I shouldn't have expected anything good to happen to me.
Typical.
Oh, typical. Whoa. Oh. Oh. Oh, here it is. Great. Ugh, what happened? Neobunny, you okay? The record, I dropped it. Can you see it? Yeah, it's right next to me. I think. Yeah, we should know what's about to happen here. I've been through this 3 different times. It's another Archangel. Again, it looks like something I'm not supposed to see. I knew I felt it. An emptiness. A hole where a heart should be. It empowers me. I wish to consume it whole.
Huh?
Who are you? What are you talking about? Your kind could live such rich lives, but instead you trade it for hollow symbols and... Artifice? Artifice? You exchange something meaningful for nothing. My castle is filled with all the emptiness you leave behind. The mall? Are you serious? This place is a ruin, filled with trash.
It's nothing.
She said it for me. It's nothing. Yes, it is nothing. And I am the king of nothing. Come, let me consume your emptiness. I thought that was Mithrix, but sure, you can be the king of nothing as well, I guess. Okay. Well, I figured one of these would be in here. So, nowhere Monarch. Yeah, we haven't learned to fuse yet, so I can't do that. So, good. I was definitely ready for this. Don't have a type either. Alright. See how this goes. Ow. It'd be so easy. It'd be so easy to give up and just die. But that's not me. I'm sick of letting myself down. Neobunny Meredith's heart act as one. There we go. What the fuck? Capri 5? Okay. No, I never really know what to expect when the fusions happen, but this is interesting. Alright, let's go. Did you get your charge in? I think you did. Let's see what happens. I cannot tell. Cannot quite tell. What is that? Looks like a bomb, but... Am I doing physical moves? I cannot tell. Right. I'll do that. Okay, so same old story as the Archangel theme. Ah, you're getting more. What are you doing? the tentacles as well. She still have? Yeah, she does. Or we, I guess, we are one. Oh, they don't have a health bar either. Oh, I'm not hitting them, I just realized when I hit the battery. Okay. They're just here just to be here then. Good, good. Target them though. Nowhere peasant. They're doing paltry damage, so I don't know if I should be focusing them. Oh, it is hitting them. So why didn't battery hit them? Oh, whatever. Characters with glass bonds take damage each time they transform. Oh, good. Okay, okay. Keep biting. Biting seems to work. Right. Melee 80. I don't think I have anything stronger. Essentially that if all 5 hit, but the bite also heals, so just keep on doing that, I guess. Oh, I'm getting healed for each time I bite them as well. Oh, so I should keep using broadcast. There are bombs. Or echolocation, my bad. That and okay, hi. Just giving me more healing with bite, so damage to you and healing from. How'd I get more? Is it from the tentacle? I have no idea. It's working though. $18, 23, 23. Okay. Accuracy down. Good. I don't think I have a debuff remover, do I? I think so. Right. No, I do not. Okay. Well, should be using coal. Try and burn him. Oh, if I hit. I think I'll kind of need to go now because it's 6:33 a.m. Aw, well, thanks for stopping by, Sorkin. Bye. Nice having you here, even if you've never seen this game before. Thank you, thank you. It won't be going on too much longer, so you won't be missing a whole lot. These are gonna be my shorter streams, my after work streams, so there's that at least. I'm just gonna keep biting. In case I do hit. I don't need the burn. This dude's easier than the... This dude is way easier than the second or third Archangels I fought. What the hell? Can I miss with Nurse? It's not an attack. Oh no, it's my out. Cool. Okay, 2 nurses. I'll take it, I'll take it. Alright. Do I still have Echo? Yeah, I do. Hey, there we go. Get out of here. Get out of here, Archangel. That was so easy, what the hell? That was way easier than the last one I fought. Oh, the one with Kayla, I think that's how you say her name. Kayla. Kayla. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, just glass. Oh, energy wave. Okay. Cool. Wait, but this...
did it.
We did it. We're alive. We fused? That's still a dude, though. Oh, okay. Hi. If you wish to leave this land, then heed my words and hear my song. You must rise to the task at hand. You must walk the path most long. To the east your wings must fly, to the place only I have known. For that is where my chambers lie, all is now empty and alone. Venture there and head northbound, where your wayward path shall meet. The rest of the song is too quiet to make out. As it's gonna be for like, what, 4 more of these? And Triangle Head, what's up? Nice place you have here, pal. But someone of your potential could do a little better, don't you think?
Oh,
I remember you. And I really don't know how you found yourselves down here. You want your record back now? I realized that this was a really trivial thing to come all this way for. And a really stupid thing to nearly die over. You didn't have to do this. Thanks, mate. I think I've had enough of abandoned malls and mortal peril for today. Come on, let's go back to town and check this record out. So, the whole fusion thing. I felt like we should talk about it. It's pretty weird, right? It's pretty cool, right? It's certainly something. It's like our minds merge and I am no longer me. Afterwards, while I can't remember it, it doesn't feel like it's something that I experienced. It's like remembering a dream. Maybe our brains just aren't equipped to process it. Had you fused with anyone before?
yeah.
Not that it's a big deal if you have. I just wasn't sure if that was your first time. Jesus Christ. This is coming out all wrong. Yeah, that happened the first time as well. Forget I said anything. They 100% worded everything about fusing the way they did. 100% intentional. I've been meaning to ask. What makes you so sure you have a way to return home? I had a vision. You're gonna have to tell me the full story here, mate. Huh, that's pretty wild. I'll uphold my end of the bargain. You help me find a record, I'll help you find a way off New... Wirral? I have no idea how to say that. Oh, I almost forgot about the record. Just slap it in. I'm just listening to it for a second. We're raising the volume for a second. Oh, it's the wild encounter theme. I think so. It's like a remix. Oh, interesting. Okay. This is pretty good. I mean, it's not the same album I used to have, but it's familiar enough. I spent my teen years being very miserable and bad with people. When I went to college, I wanted to change for real. The record was kind of the soundtrack to me, like trying to change and get better. Not that I did. I almost made lifelong friends, but they don't speak to me anymore. I know it's me who's the problem, but I want to keep trying. Maybe that's what that Archangel meant. Maybe I spent so much time distracting myself with stuff instead of trying to actually live. But even if we didn't find exactly what I was looking for, I'm okay with this outcome. You didn't need to risk your life to help me. A lot sucks about new whatever, but...
You're kinda cool.
You're kinda cool. Nope. Friendship established. What do you think the deal is with that triangle bloke, then? I don't trust anyone with a geometric shape for a head. Oh, you wanted to ask my opinion on a leader chasing? Go on, then. What is it? Venture there and head northbound, where your wayward paths shall meet. It sounds like it's pointing in a direction, I guess? Yeah, north. I guess I better get back to adventuring. Didn't you hear some rumor about something happening in the marsh? That might be a good place to check out. Oh. Yeah, 2 of them, apparently. So over there is next. I'm missing one little piece north though. Let's go back up there and get that first. That exact spot actually. Perfect. Meredith eagerly recounts the plot of a fantasy novel she adores. Cool. There must be some kind of music in here. I don't want to say cool. No, I don't think I actually have a plot for you yet, do I? Would I technically do it? Well, that may be it. Oh, I can probably get over there now, can't I? I think I can, actually. Okay, there's the music. Oh, maybe not. I thought maybe I'd be able to use this to bring it down or something. I guess not. Nah. I thought for sure, at a loss. I can't... Yo! No, well, I can actually jump. Yo! No, okay. I'm kinda curious about the upper part, though. Oh, actually, hold on. I'm gonna come back over here first. See if Cleo is talking to the captain boss. Just wanna hear what she says or she does. Oh, no, she isn't. Okay. Have anything, dude? Yeah, you do. What's up?
Greetings! Goodness, thank you!
Oh, okay, yeah, just come back every so often when you've caught more beasts. 40. Cool. Yeah, I'm trying. What does my party look like, actually? Star-wise. 233, 233. Cool. Yep. Okay. I don't think there's any way to lower that right now, or the other side of the bridge. I'm just curious if there's anything up here. Nope, there's not. Okay. I can get up there. I can maybe get a jumping leap over, but I don't think I can. Oh yeah, you live here. Hi. Completely forgot about that. Alright, well, bye. Oh, I can... Oh, wait. I can do this, though. Yo. I've got to be over here. Oh, this is the way to the marsh, though. Yeah, plot's over this way. I don't want to... Yeah. Oh, well, wait. Oh, this is the other side of the town. Okay, here we go. That's how I do it. Yo. Don't worry about the traffic crab. That's just my son. He loves playing with his bootleg tape. Yeah, have you ever seen a monster in your travels that isn't its normal color? That's a bootleg. But don't confuse it with the coding. Bootleg monsters permanently have different colors, different elemental types, and different moves from normal. And when you record them, they keep those attributes. Recorded bootlegs have a higher number of producing uncommon and rare moves, so they can be very useful. Yeah, why don't you take this and see for yourself? Captain Cody gives me a spare, so I have plenty already. Oh. Is this like a random encounter thing? More often seen in visions. Oh my god, this is just shiny Pokemon. This is just shinies, but they actually do something other than look different. Okay, cool. What you got in your fridge? Nothing. Okay, cool. So there's a shiny mechanic in here. It actually does something. A lot of newcomers in town go through a difficult period. If I had any advice for you, it would be to embrace your new life here. That doesn't mean you should also forget the life you used to have, though. You're as much your past as you are your future, you know? Jesus Christ. Harbour Town Heritage Center, charting the history of our unlikely community. Cool.
Hey!
Museum. My great-grandfather was one of the sailors who was shipwrecked on this place over 100 years ago. I am sure he'd be proud to see what we've made of this place. Oh.
Hello!
Harbour Town has a more interesting history than you think. It's important to look back on our history here if we want to see what our future needs of us. If I want to. I don't care. I do not care. Sorry. Chemist store? Elemental chemistry is the key to success. Oh. Okay, yeah. But yeah. Change the type user. Oh, okay. I see. It's each member of a team multiple times. Ayo. Okay. Cool.
Hey.
Length is my hero. Did you know she was the first person on the island to record a monster with the cassette player? Oh, cool. She here? A lot of newcomers in town go through. Oh, right there. Life in Harbor Town is peaceful, but I miss city life. Commuting on hot trains, buying expensive lunch from a supermarket, losing most of my wages to rent. Those truly were the days. I don't know if you should I don't know if you should be missing that, dude. Okay, there's someone around here I'm looking for. I bet you'd never expect to see someone as famous as me here, did you? Wait, don't you recognize me? It must not be from my timeline. Okay. Okay. Cool, I guess. Hi, what are you doing?
Huh?
What do you mean, but are you involved with the Rangers? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. I'm a fellow Ranger. Well, a trainee at least. Perhaps you could lend me a hand? I've got some plant saplings grown by the Pipers over on their farm. They're for prettying up the town. However, I'm not great at decision making, which plants would look best.
Well,
Would you help a fellow Ranger out and put some saplings in the plants I've left around town? Sure. Okay. 14. Okay. 14 new place. Fill them all. Include these? Oh. You get lavender. Okay. Cool. Oh, multi-strike. Ooh, wait, so can I give this to Meredith as well? She already has the auto echolocation thing. I'll think about it later. What's in there? Lavender. Cherry blossoms, why not? Got purple out there, pink in here. Is there any in here? No. Okay, there we go. Much better, much better. Yo. Oh, okay. Hi, dude. Glad to have met you, I guess. Punching bag. Fridge. Hey, finally. Stealing people's, I guess, coffee in this case. Does Eugene have a home gym? He knows that the town hall has an actual gym, right? Also, is he not in then? Just to find him here. Oh, this is him, Felix. Oh hey, you came to hang out. Want to see what I rescued from the sad remains of my old place? Sure. So in my regular life, I was a Zote artist. It's easier to show. Check this out. This is a Zote reel. You slot it into this zoetrope right here, then look through the slot. The zoetrope has a monitor in it, so when I hit this button, it spins. Oh, I had something if I'm thinking about this right, I had something similar when I was a kid. The row of the Zote strip has the same image drawn over and over with the variations. When spun around, it animates and comes to life, right? Then you can pull the lever to switch to the next row for the next part of the story. Well, I didn't have like that spinning thing to make it look animated part, but definitely the whole, you know, put the little disc thing inside the little plastic piece, look inside it like you would a like binoculars, and then just click a thing to have it spin a little bit to the next image. You can tell a whole story and bring it to life just with drawings. I've been obsessed with Zotes ever since I was a kid. They used to be very popular, though they've kind of fallen out of fashion. It's more of a niche medium now, at least where I'm from, I mean. Most Zote stories are about heroes in the French Revolution, like the Scarlet Pimpernel. But ever since the big budget movie adaptations really took off, there's been less interest in the source material. I got into these stories as a kid and couldn't shake my love for them. I guess that's why I'm an artist now. Right now I'm trying to come up with some new characters, and it turns out an island full of weird monsters is the perfect place to find inspiration. Which means you might be able to help me out. I'm searching for a particular creature. I want to get a good look at one. I know you can find it in the Cherry Meadow. It's a warrior with a wooden sword. Can you help me out? Cool, I'll mark it on your map for you. Oh good, way out there. Oh, he's okay. Ah, okay. I like that. Okay. What is that? Only be used to these as a coding active? It's one target and transfers to coding. Oh. Huh. Oh, okay. I didn't want to switch her out though. Oh, he just has the two, okay. Well, I'll go grab her later, I guess. I'll go pick her up from the cafe later. Maybe I'll keep him, I don't know. I mean, this is his quest, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, so that was that. Planter boxes. I know I've seen them. Seen them around somewhere. I don't think they'll be inside houses. I would imagine not. Sure. Just do all those real quick. Oh well. I really don't get it. What is the internet? Half the people in Harbor Town are crying over how much they miss it. You know, the internet, like on computers or phones. On phones, do you speak to people over it? What was the current year in your world before you came here, Meredith? 1989? Why do you ask? Oh, okay, I can see why maybe a little out of sync. We're maybe a little out of sync with each other. Yo, come back. Oh, we're traveling again so soon? Do you not want to? I like the stickers I put on your thing, so. Give me wood. Okay, so what have I done 4 so far? Can I track how many? Will it track how many I've actually? Yes, it will. Okay. Cool. Let's do leaves here. Oh, 6. This will be 7 and 8. Oh, there's no yellow. Surprising. Oh, why did I think those were something different? Oh well, it's fine. Oh, I was thinking of the red. Oh well. Okay. I'm not gonna complain too much about that. Maybe there are some inside houses. I wouldn't think anyone would try and plant flowers inside other people's houses, but we'll do the roses here, I guess. Oh. 4 more. 1, 2. I missed 2 somewhere. Those, because I haven't done them yet. I'm missing 2. Where'd I miss? There's some on top of there, maybe. No. Crap. Ow. There's no, like, light breaking. No, not over here. Why are these other 2? They're over on the other side, then they have to be. Yo. Well, there was some in here, so maybe it's not too out of line if there was some planter boxes inside a couple of the houses. Not the museum, though. Not the bootleg. Oh, okay. I would have just made it. Okay. Right, the nurse. Hi. Or hospital, I guess. In your home? Take your box. There's some in my home, maybe? No. Some in the gym, maybe? Oh, there are. Here we go. Cool. Alright, the gym, you're supposed to get your blood pumping, so red. Cool. I don't remember which house it was, though. So. No, that was, what's his name's house? Maybe this one? There's flowers on the window, so yeah. Hiya. Oh, you're done? Yeah, we successfully raised the town's twee rating by a few points. Excuse me. Thank you so much. There were so many choices to make that I was practically frozen. Here, take this in return for your help. I'll take experience. New leaf. Ooh. Can I put that on? I keep putting stuff on this one, though. Getting fewer and fewer. I don't even know what I would replace. Actually, I don't even know if I can put it on there. Oh, I could. just a matter of what would I replace it with? Kind of making this dude like a tank slash support, I guess. Get rid of the wall? I'm not really using the wall, so... Maybe the wall? Maybe? I kind of used the wall in the beginning, but I don't really feel like I need it now. Maybe that. Yeah. Just swap it out. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Perfect. Anything I want to replace with the Zoomies is kind of cool, but you're also just really fast anyway, so... What can I put on you? Honestly, dodge would be nice, it's just so frail. Yeah, I can just make it lightning when it's already magnetic. Oh, okay, taunt. I think metal does something to electric types, I think. Sharpen. Shrapnel. Shot. Silicone slash. I already have that on him. On her, I guess. I think. I'd have to see it to remember. I don't know. Just want to move these around. Try and organize them from like least amount of energy to most amount of energy going down. The passive's going at the very bottom. Yeah, there we go. You're fine. You're fine. Maybe replace that one. I liked it better when it was just a bird. Oop, nope, right here. I probably should take you with me though, just so when I do eventually get to his quest, he'll be all good and buffed. Yeah, come with me. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Oh, I still can't use this thing on my own? I thought maybe getting her CD would allow me to use this. I guess not. Tape storage. Yeah, so if I were to take out Plague Doctor here. Is it poison? Do I have any other poisons in here? Oh, you, but Oh, I could put you back in. Do I have a metal? Oh, I do, that thing. I have an electric. I have a fly. My RAM thing is Earth. Well, I may just have a duplicate, which I mean is fine with you, so. I don't know, I kind of want that thing in there. It just looks dope. Looks dope as hell. I could put that in there just to do it. It's one of those bootleg things, so. Yeah, screw it. Put it in there, just to level it. There we go. Worth it. No idea, but it'll be in there for now, I guess. I don't know, gotta do something. Alrighty, then we'll go ahead and save, and that will be the end of today's stream. These streams where I start after I get off work at 8 p.m. They're gonna be shorter, just because I get off work later, so just a couple hours or so, depending on the game, but just a couple hours or so, just so I have a little bit of time to relax. But put on the, where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I will be back tomorrow. Right, today's Monday. Like all this past month, like the whole month, or maybe even the previous month, my days have been a little confusing. But yes, I will be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. CST. With something, I don't know what yet. Something else to stress test this model, I guess. Maybe more 7 days just to see what happens. But thank you everybody for watching, and I will hopefully see you all next time. Bye bye.